Glad to have City Manager Jay Melder here, Chief of Police Lenny Gunther, Assistant Chief Devon Adams, and Assistant Chief Robert Gavin with us. Today, Savannah, the greatest city on earth and the greatest police department on earth, will be releasing our 2024 crime report. I'm proud to say that in 2024, we saw a 10% reduction in Part 1 crimes. With 5,295 crimes. Violent crime decreased by 20% compared to 2023 and 21% compared to 2022. Entering autos decreased by 18% in 2024 as well. Last year's total Part 1 crimes reached a 5-year low thanks to the efforts of the gentleman behind me and the greatest police force known to man. The following crimes are also below the 5-year average in 2024, which include homicide, rape, commercial robbery, street robbery, residential robbery, aggravated assault, residential burglary, sudden snatching, shoplifting, auto theft, theft from a building, and theft from a vehicle. Property crime also decreased as well compared to 2023. We saw a 7% decrease, and compared to 2022, we saw a 16% decrease. 60% of property crime categories saw a decrease last year. This doesn't happen by osmosis. I hope this is the top line in your news reports, because when it bleeds, it leads, but when we do right, print it right. To Chief Gunther and to the dedicated men and women in uniform who every day get up, they suit up, they go to work, they don't know what they're going to come in contact with. Their goal is to serve the community and go home to their family and friends, and they get out and they make it happen. For us, it's been important for me to make sure not only are they the best paid and compensated police group in the region, but also to make sure that they have what they need and be able to support them. As many of you know, I still go out on crime scenes. They know I will show up because I want not only to support their work, but to support the community in supporting their work. We know that public safety is just not only the responsibility of the police, but it's also a public responsibility. How do we do that? We do that by engaging our community and our public more. We have done that through a variety of efforts that these gentlemen will talk about. But the fact is, folks are talking to us. We put out a top 10 most wanted list, and as you know, we got 8 of those off within like the first 2 weeks. We're on our 3rd iteration now. These are grandmamas calling us. These are sons and daughters saying, "I heard you looking for my daddy." Well, yeah, this is where he is. We recognize we're all in this together. Now, I think we have to be very clear that, as I have said, although we see overall crime numbers down, we're not ignoring violent crime that happened last year. There's still too many guns on our streets, too many illegal guns on the streets. We still have fools out there shooting. And so I said, what are you going to do about the fools out there shooting? I don't know. I mean, we'll catch them and we'll lock them up. Then we have to trust that the criminal justice system will do what it should do to make sure that they are not in our communities. Again, I have very low patience for people who pull triggers in our community. We also had opportunities to invest resources to SPD so that we can add needed technology. We've leveraged that technology. We're offering competitive pay and increase our training, and our numbers reflect that commitment. Certainly, I know a couple of years ago you looked at the number of officer-involved shootings we've had. That has basically been eliminated over the last year or so. Again, more training, increase in emphasis on training, emphasis on judgment. We've invested in the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement to make sure that we are looking at a whole of community approach and making sure we're in these communities, making sure that we're talking with folks in a non-law enforcement way, helping them to make better decisions. If they want an off-ramp, if they want to do better, we're going to help them do better. If they want a forklift certificate, we'll help them get it. If they want to learn to cook, we'll help them do that. If they want to learn how to do childcare, we'll help them do that. They don't have to have these types of lives that lead to disruptive behavior. We will be a safe, environmentally healthy, and economically thriving community for all, and all means all. And so with that being said, Mr. Manager, if you would want to give an overview, and then we'll have our team police.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, you know, every year about this time we release our public safety report from the previous year. We give a little bit of outlook for the year ahead. I hope that everybody tunes in at 4:30 on Thursday as we'll brief City Council and the public on our workshop on these efforts as well. Really want to commend and thank the brave men and women of the Savannah Police Department that really work tremendously hard out there every day to keep our community safe. Number one goal in Savannah GPS, our strategic planning effort, is to improve public safety and our perception and feeling of security. And we know that without public safety and without that sense of security, everything else is near impossible to achieve. And so we have to continue to invest in law enforcement, we have to continue to invest in public safety, and we have to continue to invest in those non-law enforcement upstream activities that are helping provide resource and opportunity for especially our young people who might otherwise choose a different path and a dangerous path. And we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to blunt that bad decision making. We're not claiming victory on crime because we had a great crime year or that crime's down. One violent crime is too many. You've got a bike that's stolen out of your backyard. That's intrusive, that hurts. And so we know that there's a lot of work to do, but I think that the leadership of Chief Gunther, the leadership of his leadership team, especially with Assistant Chief Adams and Assistant Chief Gavin and everybody at the police department, they've really been working hard. We've been trying new things. We've been seeing what's working, and we're going to continue to invest in what's working. We're going to continue to try new things. When we think about how do we try new things, looking back and looking at the data is really, really important, and that's why it's important for us to get these crime stats, to get these reports out to the community so that they know exactly what's happening in their community and how we're responding to it, so you all can ask the right questions of us and that we can be held accountable for those numbers and for those strategies that we work to try to reduce them. Before I let or ask Chief Gunther to come up and talk, I just want to thank him. He took the reins mid-2022, and if you look at the crime stats, we've seen steady improvement since then until now, and we've got a really great police force, and we've got higher pay than we've ever had, and it's a great force to join, and we hope that folks around who want to do the best thing for their community and want to have an impact look to the Savannah Police Department for a career. But I'm also excited about our Office of Neighborhood Safety Engagement, which of course is our non-policing upstream approach to working with kids, and especially kids who are at most risk of committing violent crime or most at risk of being a victim of violent crime, and in many cases those are the same individuals. And later today we'll announce a new director of that office, Jimmy Johnson, who's coming to us from Memphis, Tennessee, where he's been doing this work a long time, and prior to that was a police officer with the Memphis Police. And
before y'all ask, no relation.
No relation to me.
No relation. He brought his cousin.
But it's really, really important that we think about public safety from a comprehensive lens, especially with city government. It takes good sanitation, it takes good human services, it takes good code compliance, it takes good lighting, and it takes good infrastructure to make sure that we have public safety. But it sure takes good police work and good community relation-based police work, which is, I think, the cornerstone of Chief Gunther's leadership and his strategy with the Savannah Police Department. And so I want to congratulate them on a really great year and ask you, Chief, to come up and talk a little bit about 2024 and what you see for 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would sit up here and bore you with some stats, but we're releasing our crime stats later on today, so I look forward to that. And before I get into my remarks, I just want to reiterate what our mayor and our city manager said. Whereas one crime, one shooting in our city is one too many. Of course, we want to eradicate all crime in our wonderful community. But as I stand up here this morning, I'm just going to piggyback off of these gentlemen and say we've had progress when it comes to crime decreases in our community. Again, we're not claiming victory, not by a long shot, but we do have to acknowledge the progress that we as a city made last year regarding crime. In December of 2022, the Savannah Police Department made a commitment to relationship-based policing and really to be the global standard of relationship-based policing, not only in our nation, but in our country. We sought ways to more intelligently use our resources through data-driven strategies, while at the same time acquiring technologies to enhance those efforts. So far, the result has been consistent, and it has had a correlation to a meaningful drop in both violent and property crime. So you ask how and why. Obviously, our city government has prioritized public safety, and we are so very thankful for that. They have provided us with resources to acquire new technologies, such as flock cameras, shot spotter sensors, our community app. If you don't have it downloaded, please download the Savannah Police Department community app. Our integrated camera platform, Fuses, bringing in residential and business cameras into one platform. They have provided additional funding for pay and benefits that in turn attract the best officers. And I stand before you as chief and say I will take quality over quantity every single day. We want to not only attract talent, but we want to retain talent. We continue to actively engage the communities that we serve. And when I say communities, I mean every single community that we serve. These inroads in the community have allowed us to better address the root causes of crime. We know crime doesn't have a singular cause. We know that in our city. These investments in community engagement has given us an opportunity to listen to those we serve and allow them to provide us feedback. But what's important is what we do with the feedback when we receive it. So today I'm proud to report that every precinct has made progress in reducing violent crime over the last year. So a little bit of stats: our Northwest Precinct had a decrease of 19%, Central Precinct 22%, Southside Precinct 7%, and then Eastside Precinct 28%. So as I close with my remarks, I really want to say how very proud I am of our officers. Day after day, night after night, they are boots on the ground. They are in our community. They are on the blocks, making sure that our community is safe. They are an amazing group of men and women who have embraced the culture, not only of the Savannah Police Department, but of the culture of Savannah itself. And they have been steady, they have been consistent in making our city a safer place for its residents and visitors. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, do you have any questions? Go ahead. We'll just get in as we need to, so we'll start here.
Yeah, Mr. Mulder had mentioned in his remarks, that there were some new strategies that you guys were kind of feeling out what worked, what doesn't. Is there anything in particular specifically related to relationship-based community policing that you guys have implemented that you believe is generating results?
It's a philosophy, really. It's a mindset. And when I say that, it's having our officers really understand that every interaction that they have with a community member, they can have either a positive influence over that interaction or a negative one. And I can say, and I can speak for the officers, they understand that we want to be positive in every single interaction. You know, I tell my officers, running in, buildings to find a suspect, responding to these dangerous calls is absolutely brave. But being compassionate and being caring, understand that we have to not only maintain and develop our relationships, but we have to nurture them every day, is equally as important as running after the bad guy. So again, it's a philosophy, it's a mindset. It's more than pop-up events, and we love those. We love our community events. We love getting in the community and hosting great events. But on a micro level, it's that one-on-one interaction. It's talking to the grandma that's on the porch, or maybe y'all say down south, the stoop. But playing basketball, shooting the basketball with the kids in the corner. It's interactions like that that really help us embrace our relationship-based policing.
Let me add, when I was a police officer some years ago, I just remembered people would say, see, that police officer is going to take you to jail. And it created really a lifelong fear of police. We have really invested in the community aspect. This year we went to the haunted house. There were thousands of kids out there that did not have to go in their neighborhoods to trick or treat, because we had a haunted house at Central Precinct where they got all the candy they could ever want. They're probably still eating on that candy. But it was being staffed by police officers. During Christmas, literally thousands of dollars of donations of toys that young people were able to get to have something under their tree. Who's giving it to them? Police officers. And so in that relationship building, now they're not afraid of that police officer because they know that police officer. And so I think in that we have really been able to up our community trust bank, if you will, by making sure that Thanksgiving we're giving food to people who need it. That, again, they're out there shooting basketball, not very well, but they're out there shooting basketball with these kids and engaging with them. At the end of the day, these are mamas and daddies. These are daddies. They're grandfathers. They're right there in the community. I think when you humanize them, then you're able to create better relationships. So I think they've done a very good job of doing that.
Chief, what do you like about ShotSpotter? Why are you convinced when other cities are moving away from ShotSpotter? Why is it that the Savannah experience has you sold on this technology in cities like Chicago and other cities are finding fault with it and ending their relationship with technology?
For us, ShotSpotter has been a useful resource. There is a certain percentage of when gunshots go out in the community, whereas individuals do not call. Those ShotSpotter sensors allow us to respond to those scenes quicker, to assess if there's a suspect on scene, if there's a victim of a gun crime in which that has taken place, and allow us to get that victim quicker medical services. I can't speak for the other cities and why they have questions about ShotSpotter or any of their contracts with ShotSpotter technology, but for us, I can say it's paid dividends for us. You'd be surprised, whereas I go to community meetings and our community members are asking for us to consistently expand our ShotSpotter coverage. So not only have we embraced it as a city, as a department, our community has too.
Let me just add, as mayor of engaged in a lot of other national organizations, a lot of it is also budget. When you look at those cities that are walking away from them, some of them are just using their money for other budget priorities.
Mayor,
I'll say too, if I could chime in, ShotSpotter, just like any other technology, is a tool. It's not the answer. Right. So ShotSpotter works really well when you're triangulating what you believe to be is the audio artifact of a gunshot, and being able to send a dispatch officer out. But it is a solution to crime. And so when you think about these technologies, ShotSpotter, Fusus, these are all just tools in the tool bag that are going to help increase the capability and the capacity of a police department. And I think when you talk about those other cities and the relationship to that specific technology, some of it, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't just the technology, but also some of the consulting services as well, if I'm right about that.
I think you're right about that
Yeah.
in Chicago, but that's Chicago. I want to ask a follow-up, and I apologize for not asking permission to do that in advance. Will you expand on ShotSpotter? Will you fund more ShotSpotter cameras in the future, in this upcoming budget next year, 2026? Can I get an answer on that?
Yeah. So every year, the chief comes to me with what investments that they want to see in public safety, and we see which ones are going to make the biggest difference, and try to include those in our finite budget. So if we feel the need that expanding ShotSpotter is going to continue to increase return on investment, then we'll continue to make that investment in ShotSpotter. What's also really great is that we have some community partners who are also helping us to invest in that technology as well, so it's not coming out of taxpayer dollars either.
Chief, will you ask for ShotSpotter to be?
And if they request it, we're going to approve it.
What's that, sir?
If they request it, we're going to approve it.
Chief, will you request that?
That'll be in consultation with my team and my boss. I don't want to give an answer right now. We have to look at the data, and then we'll make a decision and request when the time comes.
I mean, I think I think we're being
gotta prove it.
we're being a little careful just because it's a budget process, right? And we don't know the constraints of the budget, but every time, I mean, I think it's been clear that we've invested in technology, including ShotSpotter, every year in the budget that I've been here. So I don't expect anything different in the 2026 budget or the 2027 budget. If technology is still a force multiplier for the Savannah Police Department, we're going to continue to invest in it.
If they request it, we'll approve it.
Thanks, Greg. There you go. Appreciate that. Kayla?
Chief, good morning to you. Does this year's report reference the number of gang arrests in 2024? And if that metric is available, are you able to speak to it?
I don't have that metric on me right now. I'm
Okay.
sure we could provide that, though.
How does the city define gang violence compared to the states? Do the definitions align?
Our definitions do align with the state. They absolutely do. Yeah. If you want me to, quote it right now, I can't say definitively what the state's definition is, but obviously it involves a group of individuals that are creating, committing crime underneath the umbrella of the gang or the neighborhood group that they're associated with. Similar clothes, similar colors, and things like that. So, but we do align our definition with the state, absolutely.
And even though those metrics,
gang affiliation databases and worksheets and how we think about that.
Yeah, so, we understand that there are gangs in Savannah. Let's just put that out there right now. We do have a gang database that we share with other municipalities and counties. Not only do we input information into that database, those worksheets, we're also able to ascertain information out of that. So we stay on top of that. The Savannah Police Department, we do have a gang unit, and their mission day in and day out is not only to recognize gangs or neighborhood groups or neighborhood gangs in our community, but to mitigate any crimes that they may do, and also at the same time get ahead of any gangs that are forming, and typically they are younger individuals, and offering them the resources that they need to get out of that life. And that's why our association, our partnership with our WAN's office is so important to offer these resources to these young individuals, so they don't feel like they have to choose that life and either become a victim or perpetrator of crime.
Yeah, and even though, that metric isn't readily available today, is there anything else that you'd like to speak to in terms of how the department is successfully combating gang violence now, that maybe has been updated as of late or since you've assumed your position?
I think I touched on it just a second ago. Their mission, it's what they do every day. It's the partnerships that they've established, not only with law enforcement, federal and state partners, with our school system. Sometimes these issues start in school, right? With our neighborhood leaders, with our neighborhood youth. But it's really intelligence. How do we build upon that intelligence when it comes to gang issues, gang crime, forming gangs in our community? So again, we had a shift a couple of years ago on how we tackle gang issues, how we look at it, how we prioritize it. And if you look back years ago, we absolutely do not have the same metrics that we did, but at the same time, we know we can't take our foot off the gas when it comes to gangs and groups and neighborhood associations.
There's a very important definition I need to make sure we're very clear about, because I think sometimes we miss the point. Because somebody is gang affiliated doesn't mean that anything they do is a gang crime. There might be a young person that we know has been affiliated, but they're into a beef with something, or something happens. That's not necessarily gang violence. It's gang violence when it's in affiliation with the gang. And so I want to make sure that we're very clear about that definition, because we have, gangs here are different than they are in other cities. People are very fluid with gangs. I'm living on 38th Street, so I'm in the 38th Street gang, and then I moved to 40th Street, now I'm in the 40th Street gang. So it's not the same type of thing. And just because a crime is committed by someone who is gang affiliated doesn't necessarily put that crime into the gang crime space. So I think we have to be very careful, because it is literally splitting hairs, but it's a very important hair to be able to split. And then I think, it's been said, we have great relationships because not only working in schools, but also working with our state partners and our federal partners. There's great information. Social media is a beast at helping us to find that information. Sometimes these folks tell them themselves. We're going to wrap and take one more question, then we'll wrap. Okay, two more.
Yeah, I'll ask y'all this. We obviously don't have the data in front of us right now. I know y'all are going to release that later. Any outliers? Anything that was like, well, we actually had an uptick in this, but across the board? Is it all down, or are there some that kind of stood out?
No, not every single crime. The majority of them were. So we had some upticks, and I don't have those specific metrics with me right now. We'll provide those. Commercial burglaries were up in the city, and we do recognize that. But I can say, most of our violent crime categories are down, and even property crime. But we did have some upticks in certain areas. But commercial burglaries probably stand out the most to me right now. Yeah.
I'll give a quick follow-up on that. So the rub with a decrease in violent crimes and some of these other crimes is that some of the crimes that maybe were not heavily talked about before because you were dealing with more serious crimes kind of bubble up. You mentioned commercial burglaries. I know vagrancy has become a bigger and bigger concern here in town. How do you strike the balance between continuing to make the progress that you have with the violent crimes and then address these crimes that at least are increasing in volume?
Adam, good question. What's key to what you said is striking the balance, right? We recognize in the city that certain crimes are more prevalent than others, but we don't want to lose focus on the other crimes. Again, I stood up here a couple of minutes ago and said, one crime is one crime too many. Not a specific crime, right? One crime is one crime too many. The city manager said, a bike taken out of a yard. We take that serious. That's someone's a victim of a theft, right? Someone going in someone's car, so property crimes, right? and violent crimes, all the crimes are equal. Crime is a crime. So we want to mitigate them all. So yeah, absolutely, we had decreases in some of our, most of our prevalent crimes, but we want to lose focus on the crimes that historically haven't had decreases, and then all of a sudden they start to decrease, and we have to address those. So crime is crime, equal across the board for us, and everything's a priority.
Okay, get direct discussion on vagrancy, some of the issues you're seeing.
Well, I mean, I think and I'll just be brief, and then, I think you said vagrancy. Vagrancy, homelessness remain very complex social issues. Again, we're not criminalizing homelessness. We criminalize crime. And so this continues to be a challenge for us because obviously as we continue to make major investments of those who have found themselves down on their luck, we have zero tolerance for criminal acts. Also understanding that there are some acts that outside of basic enforcement, you can't really cite them. And you can't really take them to jail because the jail's not going to take them. So we continue to find ways to be able to address those issues. But for us, crime is unacceptable no matter who does it. We want to make sure that we're addressing those quality of life issues, particularly in areas where we've seen it more prevalent. And I'm pleased to see that we've had more patrols. We have worked with our Interagency Council on Homelessness, with our Authority for the Homeless, to really try to address the social and mental health issues that these folks are addressing so it doesn't become a criminal issue. All right. So thank you all so much. Again, we're excited. I thank the City Manager and Chief Gunther, as well as these gentlemen, for the work that they continue to do. We all get there if we get there together, and we are moving Savannah strong. So thank you all so much. See you Thursday. All right. Thank you all.